Italian journalist and transfer expert Fabrizio Romano has stated the deal is on for Manchester City winger Savinho to Tottenham. He has also stated that Tottenham do not want to sell Pedro Porro in this summer transfer window. Former Spurs star Sandro has come out and said De Zerbi must build the team around Mickey van der Ven and Spurs must go out and sign Brighton centre-back Van Hecke. And João Palhinha's incredible stats, especially under Roberto De Zerbi. Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. This is another edition of Tottenham News, where I'll be going for all of the latest Spurs news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you listen to this on an audio platform, please do hit the follow button and leave a review if you can. Italian journalist and transfer expert Fabrizio Romano has stated, understand Tottenham do not want to sell Pedro Porro this summer. Despite Real Madrid looking at him and Manchester City links, Tottenham Hotspur Football Club will do their best to keep Pedro Porro. He is seen as a key player by Roberto De Zerbi and the management at Tottenham. Now, Spurs are being linked with a move for Savinho. We have seen reports from Brazil and other countries stating that Tottenham Hotspur are in talks with Manchester City and Savinho about a summer move. And of course, Savinho has been linked with a move to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club in the last couple of transfer windows because the club have tried to sign him, but City didn't want to sell the winger to Tottenham in the past couple of transfer windows. Now, Xavi Simons has posted a picture on his Instagram story of him and Savinho, and it has now sparked a lot of interest and a lot of intrigue from fans, thinking that a move is now very close to Tottenham for Savinho. The latest on Savinho, Fabrizio Romano has stated negotiations ongoing for Savinho to Tottenham, as revealed a couple of weeks ago, and progressing well. Tottenham Hotspur Football Club believe that Savinho wants the move to London. Talks continue as Manchester City could open doors to his exit in case of a good proposal. The deal is on. Former Tottenham Hotspur star Sandro has been talking about Tottenham and boss Roberto De Zerbi. He's come out and said that Van der Ven needs to stay. He needs to be the captain of Tottenham for next season. I think De Zerbi will build a strong squad and it will help Mickey van der Ven as well. He is so important for Tottenham. I hope he does stay and De Zerbi can build a team around him at the back and then around the midfielders. Sandro then went on to say, Spurs at the moment, they're talking about Marcos Senesi at Bournemouth, but I really like the defender from Brighton, Van Hecke. For me, Van Hecke is ready. He is ready to play because he played under De Zerbi and he showed that he can play in the moment, that he is mature. He is a mature player and we need players that are already mature and are ready. Sandro then went on to say Van der Ven has that ability to become that good 100%. He just needs the players, the squad to help him a little bit, having a strong team around him. Roberto De Zerbi is the guy to build the team and he needs to build around Mickey van der Ven. BBC Sport have just posed the question, should Spurs push for João Palhinha on a permanent deal? Their report states a key part of Tottenham's midfield planning for next season will be whether João Palhinha's loan from Bayern Munich is made permanent. There have been conflicting reports over whether João Palhinha will remain in North London, with stories in BBC Sport's gossip column earlier this week suggesting he will instead try and engineer a move to Sporting in Portugal. However, Italian journalist and transfer expert Fabrizio Romano reported on Monday that the midfielder has given priority to Spurs as the feeling with Roberto De Zerbi is very good. The BBC report then goes on to say, despite Tottenham's poor season, it could have ended far worse had it not been for João Palhinha's performances and late-season goal-scoring heroics. On their 7 matches under Roberto De Zerbi after his appointment at the end of March, Spurs won 3 games, 2 of which were 1-0 wins, thanks to scrappy João Palhinha goals from set pieces, including on the all-important final day win over Everton, which secured Premier League survival. In other words, 6 of the 11 points won under the Italian were thanks to goals from the 30-year-old midfielder. To illustrate Tottenham's attacking woes, Palhinha's 5 goals were the second highest in the squad. But it is not just his goals that could make a permanent move attractive. Now, here are the stats for João Palhinha in the Premier League in the 25-26 season. Appearances 33, starts 23, goals 5, tackles 110, duels 193, and passes 1,044. The Portugal international led the Spurs squad in tackles 110, tackles 166, and duels 193 across the 25-26 campaign, despite only starting 23 games. He is not, however, just a midfield destroyer. João Palhinha is also capable of progressing the ball and play. No Tottenham Hotspur midfielder made more passes, 1,044, forward passes, 314, or attacking line breaking passes, 55, than him. And it must be stressed that he recorded those numbers in an underperforming Spurs side, and he was still part of a side that came very close to a historic and humiliating relegation. Now, my thoughts on everything in this episode. Let's start by talking about the Fabrizio Romano comments. He is stating that Tottenham don't want to let Pedro Porro go. I think actually it's going to be down to the player whether he wants to go or not, whether he puts in a transfer request. And like I said on a previous episode, when we finished 17th in the league table back-to-back seasons, you know, there may be 1 or 2 players looking to head out the door. But like I also said, you know, when you have a manager like Roberto De Zerbi come in, then a lot of people will feel very, very excited. So let's hope that we do keep Pedro Porro, because I think that, you know, going forward, he is a fantastic player. And I think that he does need to work on his defensive skills somewhat. But I think that Roberto De Zerbi, and I've said this on previous episodes as well, Roberto De Zerbi will definitely get the best out of players, and he will make players play in his system, and he will demand the very best in his style of play and his formations, etc. And you know what Roberto De Zerbi achieved at Tottenham in those remaining Premier League games to keep us in the Premier League, he deserves a lot of credit. And he put the arm around a lot of players and got the best out of them when, you know, let's be frank and honest about it, the confidence was extremely low. There wasn't any confidence there. And De Zerbi got the very best out of these players. He didn't whinge, he didn't cry, and that was a term or phrase that he used. We can't cry about it. We've just got to get on with the job in hand, and that's exactly what he did. But it'd be very interesting to see what some of these players do. He come out and said as well that 10, 11, 12 players are good enough to play for the football club. I think that Pedro Porro is definitely in that 10, 11, 12 list. Now, Fabrizio Romano has also stated deal is on for Savinho. We've seen reports 40 million, 50 million, 60 million. This is going to be interesting to see what Tottenham do pay for Savinho if a deal does go ahead. And it's very interesting also that Xavi Simons is now posting pictures. I wouldn't read too much into that. I think it's more that they are friends from previous clubs. And yeah, let's wait and see what happens there. But the transfer window opens in about 12 days' time in the UK. So, and of course, that's going to be during the World Cup. The World Cup is just over a week away. So there's going to be plenty going on this summer. The World Cup, lots of transfers, left, right and centre. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens. Talking about transfers, I hope the João Palhinha one does get done and he remains a Tottenham Hotspur player. I hope that Spurs can somehow get this deal done. I know obviously that Tottenham want to renegotiate the fee And so that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And it's also going to be interesting to see what happens with the Sporting situation, because, of course, Sporting are trying to sign João Palhinha. But incredible stats. And like the BBC report stated, and I said pretty much word for word what they said, today. I said this a couple of days ago. He played in a poor side, and he played in a struggling side. And he still got incredible stats, and he put everything into every single game, every single minute that he plays. He is a fantastic leader, and on and off the pitch, and gives vast experience to this squad as well. And Roberto De Zerbi many times has come out and said that he wants him to stay at the football club, and he absolutely loves him, and 100% he wants him to stay. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with this situation. And, we do need leaders like this. We need leaders across the pitch, also on the bench throughout the whole of the squad. And like I said a week or so ago, I think that Tottenham need to do a lot of business in this summer transfer window. The summer transfer window is 2.5 months. It is a long transfer window, but Spurs need to go all out to get as many experienced players in as possible, and decent quality players. Roberto De Zerbi can work with them, and we can climb up that Premier League table, because we do not want to be in that second half of the table anymore. Spurs should be fighting for a European place next season, and that means a top quality window with a lot of signings in and many signings going out the door. And I think that Spurs need to be ruthless in terms of outgoings as well. Roberto De Zerbi has been here a short time, but long enough to realise who will be in his plans for the 26-27 campaign, and who can go out the door and who he wants to keep. And I think that was a great comment from him, saying that there's only 10, 11, 12 players good enough to play for the football club, because it shows that he wants change. It shows that he wants the squad to be revamped. And, we need to be achieving a lot more than sitting 17th and fighting relegation. So, yeah. And João Palhinha, I might add, was a big part of that, like the BBC report says. Sandro, of course, fans' favourite. Now, I've spoken to Sandro a good few times, especially about him working alongside Roberto De Zerbi at Brighton, because, of course, Sandro did his coaching badges, and he was invited by De Zerbi to work there. And he speaks extremely highly of Roberto De Zerbi. And I know that Sandro was extremely excited when De Zerbi was appointed as Tottenham Hotspur boss, because De Zerbi just fits in to this Tottenham way, this Tottenham style, and entertaining football. And I'm very excited about next season, I must say. But I completely agree with what Sandro has said. He needs to build the team around Mickey van der Ven. Mickey van der Ven needs to stay at the football club. And like I've said in the last couple of days, and like I said about Pedro Porro as well, it's funny because you would have had a number of players at Tottenham, the decent ones, I mean, no disrespect, but the decent players, the top players at Spurs, some of them were probably thinking, I'm not going to do this again next season. There's no way I'm going to be fighting against relegation next season. I'm off. And then, of course, Roberto De Zerbi has come in, and he has put confidence into these players and belief that Tottenham Hotspur can actually do something, and we can fight, and we can be an entertaining, and we can be a good side in the Premier League. But of course, like I said the other day as well, the fans want the club to be ambitious. The club are now talking about ambition. The club are now talking about, we've got to do this to get us back to where we belong. And that was their words, and mine. And I completely agree with it. But of course, it is about the action. It is not about the words anymore. It is about the action, about what this football club is going to do. So if you want to keep players like Pedro Porro and Mickey van der Ven at the football club, these are top players, you need to be showing everyone the ambition. You need to be showing these players that they are going to be playing alongside the top players, not just against the top players in the Premier League, but they want to be playing alongside players, the top players in the Premier League. And, so this is exactly what the club need to do. Go out, be ambitious, and sign top players in the Premier League, and then you keep players like Mickey van der Ven, and then they feel excited, and then they feel like Tottenham are going to be a force again. Because when you have players like Mickey van der Ven in your team, you need to be fighting on all fronts, like the club have said that they want to do. But of course, last season was an absolute shambles, and last season, we very, very nearly got relegated, and I don't need to be sitting here telling you all of that, because it's been a really tough season on all of us, and we all know what we went through. But Sandro's come out and said that Spurs need to go out and sign Van Hecke from Brighton. This is a name that's come up in a number of reports in the last couple of weeks. But let's face it and be frank and honest about it. We're being linked with so many players at the moment, and throughout the 2.5-month summer transfer window, Spurs are going to be linked with hundreds and hundreds of players. But like I always say, and I'm going to say it again, Spurs need to be ambitious, go out and sign top quality players. And this time around, this transfer window, it must be very heavy on experienced players and leaders. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you listen to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Now stay safe and well, keep smiling. I'll see you on the next one. Have a good week. Come on, you Spurs.